Right. Thank you very much, Stephen. And I know that was rather juttery, but I hope you got the idea of the kind of projects that we've been working on. And yes, I'm sorry for the ongoing technical issues. What I'm going to try and do now is share a PowerPoint presentation. Can you see that okay?
Yep.
Perfect. Right. So if we could just carry on then, and I'm going to take you through the categories, as I said.
Yep.
Okay, so here they are. Best maintenance of a historic building or place. That could be ongoing maintenance. Best rescue of a historic building or place, under £1 million. Best major regeneration of a historic building or place, over £1 million. Best contribution to a heritage project by young people. Best craftsmanship or apprentice on a heritage rescue or repair project. And best research, interpretation, or recording of a historic building or place. Okay, and on the night itself, there will be a couple of further awards. Once the shortlisting has taken place, they will be published, and the shortlisted candidates, of which there are 18, are put out for a public vote award, which is awarded on the night. And the final award on the night itself is a Lifetime Achievement Award, which is the judges' award. So there are 8 awards in total. The image you see there is of the 2021 Heritage Awards, which took place in Belfast City Hall, which was a lovely venue and a lovely location. So hopefully you would all had a look at the website, Heritage Angel Awards, and if you just Google that, you'll get straight into our website. There are all sorts of buttons encouraging you to apply now. There's also a countdown for the deadline for applications. The closing date is Thursday, the 1st of February at midnight. That might seem like a not very long window, but equally, I suppose people take as long as the application window is open, right? So we probably will get ones towards the end of the opening window. What I would just say is that it's a very simple process. A lot of the questions are factual. There's a couple of boxes to explain why you regard your project as an award-winning project, and I'll talk you through some of the things that we look for there. Okay. So the form itself, you can apply for your own project or you can nominate someone else. We have already had applications in from people nominating apprentices, members of staff or contractors or whoever who've done a particularly good job. You don't need to let your you don't need to let the nominee know unless you feel you wish to. It can be a pleasant surprise, and certainly one of our award winners, the film camera came along, and he wasn't aware that they were there to film him as a nominated person. I think he was quite thrilled by that. I guess you could just judge for yourself whether the person you're nominating would appreciate that or not. And obviously apply for your own project. It is very good PR if you're an architect or a contractor or an organization that wants to promote your objectives. So you could submit under more than one category, as I've mentioned, and then we need to understand what it is, what is the heritage that you're applying for. How have you delivered a project that conforms with best practice? You can, I leave it to you to imagine what that might be. It could be traditional materials, it could be environmental credentials, it could be community inclusion, it could be, whatever the focus of your project is. This year, for the first year, we do have an option to upload a short film clip and hopefully that will work better than our presentation has this morning for you. The details of the size and format are on the form. I mean, many of you will have even just short film clips taken from your phone, anything like that, just to animate your application a little bit. You're able to do that this year. The criteria are that the building, let's say it was a historic building you've rescued, that must have been rescued in the past 10 years. And if you want to submit for maintenance work that you've done in your building, that needs to be carried out for a period of over 5 years. And young people for that category, just for purposes of this award, are under the age of 25. So just about how we assess the application. So there are two tiers to this. So we have a steering group, which consists of members from the sector, senior members from the sector. So the lineup is being finalised, but we have members from the Architectural Heritage Fund, from the National Lottery Heritage Fund, the Construction Industry Training Board, and Hearth, who will be looking at the shortlisted applications, and we'll decide which ones will go forward to the sort of filming process and out to the public vote. So again, this is written on the website, but there are these sort of keywords that are looked for and are kind of graded. So what was the need for the project, and where's the passion? I think we probably agree that all of these heritage projects are about passion. People do them because they value their heritage, but we need to see or understand just why it is that it means a lot to you, and what was your motivation, what was the passion you're nominating's motivation. Perseverance, there will undoubtedly those challenges, setbacks, solutions. If you could just sort of explain to us really how you've stuck in there and delivered the project. No doubt there will be several in all instances. Imagination, I suppose, could be part of the problem solving, but how, I suppose, as the project progressed, you might have found a very innovative way of sharing heritage or highlighting your heritage. What is it that stands out about your project? Is it local distinctiveness? Is it international interest? Is it friendly for kids, friendly for older people? Is it, leave it to you to have a think about that. It's a text box, so we're not talking pages and pages, about 500 words, or as much or as little as you want to say about it. All projects obviously need to have a legacy, that they're useful going forward. Of course, at the obvious level, it's maintaining the building itself will ensure its longevity. But as I was saying earlier, how has it transformed people's lives? How does it benefit people and the community, and to what extent? Best practice, slight repetition. Again, I mean, look at the guidance notes. What is it that your project has done really well that others could copy? And without being too technical, finally, why do you love your project, or why do you love the project? So I hope that gives you just a few pointers there, and you could have a think about those while we go on to listen to the Heritage Angels, and then we'll open the floor, and hopefully that side of the tech will will work okay. Right, I'm going to go on to the next slide, just to tell you about the award ceremony. The award ceremony is on Wednesday, the 27th of March. It's a couple of days before Easter. Applications are open. They have been open since the 4th of January and close at midnight on the 1st of February. The event will take place in Ballymena at the Braid. For those of you that haven't visited, it's a really handsome ballroom type historic building, onto which I suppose the better known modern extension is appended, but it's a lovely facility. The awards so far have been at the Opera House, Belfast Opera House, the Guildhall in Derry, Armagh Marketplace, and also at City Hall. So this year it's the turn of Mid and East Antrim Borough Council, who are kindly hosting us on the event, and will be looking after us very well on the night. So that's just a slide of the ceremony itself. And I am going to now, if that's okay, Peter and Kira, hand over to you and just ask you. Here's a photo of Kira and Peter in front of Ormiston House, which they have meticulously restored, and they won the category for the best major regeneration of a historic building or place. So if I may, Kira and Peter, can I just hand over to say hello to you?
Hi.
Hello.
Hello, good to see you. And could you just say again the name of your project and what it means to you, and then we'll put up a wee film and hope that works okay.
Well, Ormiston House was the name of our project, and it's now our family home, so it means a lot to us.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
I guess we worked on it restoration took over 4 years, and we were in a hurry, obviously, because the children were very young, and we wanted them to live on it before they went away. And of course, now 2 of them have left, so we managed to achieve that. And they all, as a family, we lived here for several years before they've gone off to university. Hopefully, they'll come back. But I guess 4 years is a long time. I don't know whether I would start another project of this size again. It's quite an undertaking when you get caught up and you talked about passion. You don't really stop and calculate the time of your life that you're putting into it. But really, it was 4 years of really quite all-consuming, every day working on the project, making decisions. And so it really, anybody who takes on a project like this does give up quite a chunk of their life. So it becomes quite a part of your own personal history when you look back to your life. I mean, I'm 52, and I look back at 4 years out of that given over to this project.
And what made you take on the building in the first place?
Well, we lived local to it, and I think it would be fair to say that both Pete and I have always had some kind of strange passion for wanting to restore an historic house. And this had been lying derelict for about 20 years. We would have walked past it all the time when we were walking the dogs or pushing the kids in the pram. And when it came up for sale, I think a moment of madness, we took our opportunity and decided we were going to do this. And it definitely was a moment of madness. I think we had an accountant tried to talk us out of it, a solicitor tried to talk us out of it when we were signing the deeds to take it on. But I think both of us are very determined, and both of us had an absolute passion for it. So we went ahead, and no regrets now. But if you'd asked me halfway through the project, I might have said something differently.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but that hasn't stopped you, am I right? Are you taking on other historic building work as well, so between you and your shared interests?
I mean, I had some experience of working on listed buildings. Many of our Argento stores are in listed buildings. Royal Avenue's in a listed building. Our store in Edinburgh was in a listed building. Dundee, Glasgow, Dublin. Oma is in a listed building. So often their Argento stores had been in listed buildings, and so we were going in and often they were in bad condition and poor aluminium shop fronts, etc. So we would always strip those back, put on new wooden shop fronts, etc. So it wasn't that we were completely new to the restoration game, and so I sold part of my business after completion of Ormiston, and we've really invested in 3 large historic buildings in the city centre, Lagan View, what's the other one called? Lombard Street, and the printing works on Queen Street. So we've certainly been busy since and all through lockdown, pointing and taking roofs off and putting in new sash windows, and we've just bought Brown's Brown's warehouse on the Lower Newtownards Road as well. So yes, we have probably been busier than we would like doing historical projects.
I think once you start something like this, it's hard to stop. There's a real passion for it when you begin, and I think some of these inner city buildings needed to be repurposed, and we just felt that we we're capable of doing that, whereas a lot of other people would have turned their nose away from it. So
At the moment, heritage buildings are commanding a premium in the market. So most of the projects that we've taken on in the city centre are conversion to office. Now that is a challenge after COVID, with people working from home, and the office market is nearly in collapse. So your point where there's not likely to be more office conversions again, and most heritage buildings in the city centre, if they're looking for a new use, will be residential. They will have to be residential. As the office market really isn't almost disappeared. So I think that's going to present its own challenges for restoration, because conversion of old buildings into residential with fire regulations and the new green regulations around energy use in your building it's going to be a real challenge to convert those buildings to residential, and we certainly haven't tried yet because of really it looks so difficult. But
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a challenge now going forward.
Mhm. And just thinking about your project at Ormiston, is there anything you would like to tell us just about the skills, the whole conservation
Sure.
skills? I know that the roof was a huge job, wasn't it? But your experience of working with the tradespeople?
Well, to be honest, the whole house needed a massive overhaul. So we had every different type of skilled person in here. People that I didn't know still existed. For example, I had a day trip to an iron foundry where we had recast the original lights that were at the front door, and also some balustrades from a original stone staircase. I didn't know that iron foundries still existed. There's just the one in Northern Ireland. That was an absolute eye-opener for me. Yes, with regard to the roof, the entire thing had to be stripped. We were meticulous. We had all the original slate lined up and labelled in the gardens. I just remember thinking it looked like a graveyard because they are the shape of tombstones. That was a huge undertaking. We had to get a commercial team on the roof to do that. That took a year and a half.
Yeah, I think we were lucky as well at the time. There was a downturn in the building trade, so tradesmen were relatively easy to get compared with today. Certainly today, you might have to wait longer for those tradesmen. People might not know it, but there's a lot of heritage projects restoration going on in the city at the moment. Some very, I think, a Pearl Assurance has just been unveiled, so there's some fantastic projects. So those tradesmen wouldn't be as easy to find today, and they'd certainly be a lot more expensive. So we were particularly lucky at the time that when we went looking for tradesmen, they were often not busy, and they were excited to take on the project. I mean, you find a lot of trades, we found anyway, really wanted to do this type of work, and were excited by it, the thought of participating in this restoration.
Yeah,
I
good.
think one of the most fascinating jobs that I got to see was the restoration of the historic ceilings in our house by Nickel Fine Plasterers. That was just fascinating. I could have sat and watched that day after day. They took mouldings from, there was several patches had to be filled, etc. And they took mouldings from the original existing parts, and each little tiny leaf was made up and set out in little wooden trays on newspaper, and just watching them put it all back together was absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, great. Just in terms of the Heritage Angel Awards, because I suppose today is obviously all about you inspiring somebody thinking of applying, just through your own experience of the project, which obviously won the major award. Could you just reflect briefly on your experience of the Heritage Angel Awards?
Well, at the time when we applied, we had a young architect who was working alongside us. She was project managing for us, and it was her who actually filled in the application.
Okay.
I think for us, when you've undergone something like this and you've put your absolute heart and soul in it, you feel very proud. So we had an immense amount of pride for what we had achieved. And therefore, the Heritage Angel Award was just a wonderful experience for us, because it was somewhere where we got to share that pride with other people.
Yeah, good. So any particular advice? I suppose you said somebody put the application in on your behalf, or do you have any other particular advice? And would you say applied? Would you recommend them to apply? And
Well, definitely. I think but a lot of, I mean, the one thing about the Angel Awards for me was that discovering projects that I really hadn't heard about. So, I mean, I had an interest in heritage and I'd done a project myself, yet there were so many fabulous projects that I literally didn't know had happened that year. And so I took as much interest in the other entries. And so it just encourages other people to take part because they know they're not the only one that's interested in it, investing in it and their time and their money and their labor, so I think it's really, you feel a wee bit more part of the community of people who have an interest in heritage, and I would recommend to get in there. You might find some useful shared interests and shared community,
And I think it doesn't matter how big or small the project or what budget or whether it's only a tiny thing you've done. Every contribution to heritage is a contribution and a step forward, and I think everybody should be sufficiently proud of what they've done to make the application. If you don't apply, if you're not in, you can't win. So I think it's worth applying and just taking part, regardless of what happens or what the outcome is.
okay, I think that's great advice, and it's definitely nothing to be nervous or apprehensive about. I would say certainly. All projects are welcome. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. I'm going to hope that the tech works for this, and I'm going to hand over to Stephen. I plan to show this before the chat, but we'll just put up the short film of your project, and then so you can have this look to see how that was. Thank you.
Ormiston House in East Belfast was on the at-risk register when Peter Boyle and Ciara Denver bought it in 2015. It was overrun with both dry and wet rot and had been vandalised. Before it fell into disrepair, it had been used as offices. Strip lighting had been screwed into the ornate plasterwork in the ceilings, and grand rooms had been turned into toilets. For 3 years, Ciara spent every waking moment on its restoration. The roof was rebuilt using the original tiles where possible. Windows were restored rather than replaced. Missing ironmongery was cast using original methods. Ormiston House is now a comfortable family home, reflecting its rich history.
When we first came, it was all boarded up.
Oh, but I mean, actually, by the time we'd bought it, we'd not seen it apart from a torch. The first thing we did on the first day was pull all the boards off the windows. That was
That was really exciting. But it was nice to see light come into the house and to see out the windows for the first time.
And that's when the scale of the deterioration really came in. And funny, the civil servants who gave us the keys said to me, "I suppose you've got it." And I, with all intentions, said no. I looked at him like he was mad. I thought we were going to try and salvage as much. But we ended up getting it. I mean, we lost 90% of the internal fabric of the building.
So for us, our next project really was to see what we could salvage. And literally, if there was a tiniest thing we could salvage, it was taken out meticulously, stored meticulously, and put back in some way into the house.
Rather than have a contractor on a fixed price who might have wanted to go in and be a bit more brutal with the place, we set up our own construction company and we put our own people in. And then I was here pretty much every day for 2.5 years.
In a sense, that gave us more control and more time. So if something was more tedious, we were prepared to go down that route, whereas a contractor might not be.
I mean, everybody has an urge to fix things. Some people's project might be an instrument or a bicycle or a car, or it's kind of, I don't know what causes that. To fix an old thing seems to be in everybody. So we're lucky that we were able to take on and do such a large project.
But I think both of us always have admired houses that are derelict and always wished we could have done something like this. So to have had this opportunity, it's just been fantastic. For us, we lived locally, and a lot of the people who lived locally have some connection to this house, and I think it's just, we poured our hearts into it, gave absolutely everything we could, and we're as true to the house as we possibly could be.
Thank you. It looks absolutely beautiful. That's very, very beautiful building, and you've done a tremendous job. It's terrific. So thank you so much. And stay with us. And I'm now going to hand you over to Sebastian. Sebastian won his award for the Mills of Ireland some years back, and he is a historian, and he is also passionate about mills. For those of you who know him, actually, since then, he has actually joined Ulster Architectural Heritage as a staff member responsible for the Building at Risk Register. But that was then, and sorry, that's now, and so his award was before he was working with us. So without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Sebastian, and we're going to start, if that's okay, with the short film, so you can get a feeling for what he's done. Sebastian, would you like just to say hello while Stephen gets the short film up?
Yeah, well, hello everyone, and thanks all for joining. It's great to see that the Ormiston project actually just highlights all the great things that have been done across Northern Ireland, and especially for such a historic and at-risk building, but at risk no more. But yeah, no, it's kind of great to kind of come here and kind of talk about I suppose the Mills in Northern Ireland project, which I'm still kind of ongoing and kind of expanding. But yeah, it's actually nice to see the video. I haven't seen this in years, so it'll be good to kind of look at it again. So yeah, I'll get Stephen put it back on now.
As a guide for the National Trust, Sebastian Graham has long had an interest in traditional linen making processes and in the mills that were the backbone of Northern Ireland's industrial heritage. From this grew a project that has mapped more than 3,200 mills in an extensive online resource. This one-man effort had no external funding. Now, for the first time, a wealth of information about past industries is available in one place. Sebastian has worked with local historical groups who have benefited from his research, as well as sharing their own.
I really started looking at the mills around Cookstown originally. I didn't intend to actually record the whole of the country, but I just decided to look at Cookstown in particular because that's where I'm from, and it kind of gradually spawned out of determination to find each and every single one that I could see from the valuation records, and eventually that's led me to finish all of the counties and just well over now of 3,000 mills. So the whole idea of this project is to get the information from old records, from records online, paper format, and memories that people have as well, record them and put them online onto the Mills of Northern Ireland database. I think this information is a vital source for anyone undertaking either family research or looking more deeply into their community and local area. Literally every mill I go to, I'm surprised that there's bits that remains of it, and people that from mill owners to landowners that have recorded it and kept it on site. I'm always happy and surprised to see it there.
It's good to see it
Great.
again.
Okay, thank you, Sebastian. That's great. So I think what Sebastian's saying is it's all about the people and the memories, as well as the buildings themselves, just what they say about social history. Am I right? So why are you interested in heritage, Sebastian?
Yeah, so I kind of got into kind of heritage. So I was working at the Beetling Mill outside Cookstown at Wellbrook, and yeah, there was always people coming in and telling me about their local mill and the people that work there and the names of people and all sorts of things. And it's you don't really kind of put two and two together, when you're just kind of in there from, I suppose, in the afternoon. But just one day, just thought to myself, I must have a look at what's, what was in that locality, and I just found that there was, a mill or something or other every, half a mile on the river, and I thought to myself, it'd be great to have this on a resource somewhere, because prior to this, there wasn't even the map viewer, the historic map viewer. There was just Ordnance Survey maps, and you'd have to piece them together. It was quite laborious, but I thought to myself, it'd be great if people could see in their locality what was there, and just kind of expanded. I only intended to do one kind of area, but yeah, it just went berserk really, and I couldn't stop doing it.
So, what are you going to do, or what do you do with all the information, and how is it used by people?
Yeah, so the one of the weaknesses with, I suppose, finding information is that you kind of need to be in the know to access it, and you need to you need to have go and visit Prony or this, that, and the other. But through this mill work, I was able to. All the work was done online, actually remotely, so I didn't actually physically have to visit any of these places. On the Prony website, there's these things called evaluation revision books, which go from 1860 to 1929. So I went through every single of those valuation revision books for Northern Ireland and pulled all that information out and dropped it onto a map, essentially. So you can trace the ownership of that mill, or what went on in that mill from, pretty accurately from 1860 to 1929. And it subsequently found over 4.5, well, it was about 4,000 mills across Northern Ireland. And now that there's the website, the Mills of Northern Ireland website, which it's all free and it's all fairly easy to access, you can go on there and look in your vicinity. So it's all about kind of saving that kind of knowledge and enhancing it, because we may have had 4,000 odd mills in Northern Ireland, but we only have like 3 or 4 working ones, which is it's really quite small. Even Wellbrook, I was there 2 days ago, and the water wheel's not turning at all. So the number of working mills is becoming less and less and less. But it's very important that we kind of have something to preserve, for future generations. And even today, like they were all renewable energy sites, working hundreds of years ago. And so it's renewable energy, I suppose, is nothing new. But yeah.
And just to clarify, these are rural mills, are they, as opposed to like industrial mills, or is it both of them?
It's both. It's both. Yeah. So again, the rural ones are easy to do, but when it comes to like Belfast and Derry and bigger place, it was actually very, very difficult, just because the records they're hard to decipher. But yeah, it's all online on the Mills of Northern Ireland website.
And just in a word, why is it mills your passion? Why are they so special to you, the mills?
I honestly don't know. If I kind of work in there, and I kind of just the interest kind of just found itself, and it kind of led me towards it. But and also saw that there weren't many people doing something like this here. I know people would focus on big houses and stuff like that there, and vernacular kind of buildings, but there was no one looking at mills. In fact, well, there was. He was in his. I think he was in his 90s when I met him, and I thought to myself, this man, you need to get this information from books onto some sort of digital platform to preserve it, because he kind of inspired me to kind of look around the vicinity and get information out to people, because there was definitely a kind of a yearning for that from people.
Yes, so yes, it's all sort of the intangible heritage as much as the fabric, isn't it? Taking on the repository of the intangible heritage rather than necessarily trying to restore the buildings.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's fantastic. I think quite starkly contrasted with Ormiston House. Just finally, I'm going to ask one more question, because I've been hogging all the questions. What about the application process? Are you a changed person from being a heritage angel? Just tell us about your experience of the awards and how you came to, be in the frame, and how you came to win.
Yeah, so I think my dad actually put me forward for the award. So and again, I don't know how you kind of even came about it. Maybe saw it in a newspaper, but and then getting that nomination, and I remember bringing the film crew wanted somewhere to video, and I was thinking to myself, God, I don't know where to bring them. I actually brought them to 2 places, but the place that they that wasn't shown there, I think one of them fell in. I think one of them actually fell in partly to the river, so that didn't make the final cut. I must try and hook that image out, video out somewhere. But no, it was, and then on a day, and the I can't remember what the place is called, but it was just fantastic. Grand Opera House. It was just fantastic to see all the people there. I couldn't believe the amount of people that went to it, and that publicity, I suppose, side of things. It was all done. I done it all for nothing really, but people then kind of asked me to do talks and things like that. So I've been in the last 6 years, I've given over 100 talks to local history societies, community groups, and this, that, and the other on the subject. Which it's good for me because it gets me out and about and looking at a lot of these places before a lot of them go. But it's also good for people because it, local people, because it opens up their kind of minds as to what they're. Because generally, what I find is that there's one building that they're very, very familiar with, but a couple of miles down the road, there'll be something there hidden in their heads that they won't be. But yeah, the Angel Awards definitely kind of boosted kind of confidence and publicity and kind of wanting to do more, actually, to keep the project up. And I'm still doing it. I'm actually doing trying to map all the mills down south now as well. But getting married and having a child and all that has kind of taken has kind of trumped that for the time being. But hopefully I'll get back to it soon.
Right. Well, thanks, Sebastian. I think it's fair to say that there's plenty of passion for mills from coming from that direction. So that's very impressive. So thank you very much, Sebastian. Right. I have done quite enough talking. So would anybody like to just open your mic and ask the question to whoever? I'm going to put myself on mute. So over to you folks.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. That's all lovely projects, really inspiring. I'm from Open House Festival in Bangor, and we took over and restored the old courthouse and turned it into a music and arts venue. I've been looking through the application form. It all seems to make sense. The main question I wanted to ask was I want to nominate our project rather than myself and my husband who lead the organisation and led the project. But you have to put down one name as your nomination. So how do we nominate the project without nominating either myself or him? Or can we not?
Well, that obviously, it was obviously the case with Ormiston House that you were nominated as a duo, weren't you? I mean, I suppose the idea is that somebody has to receive the award, but that's not to say that an organisation couldn't come up. So I'm thinking, for one example, Derry, the Walled City Townscape Heritage Initiative Award. There were about 20 people on stage. So I think you will have to, but make it just clear within the application that you're applying on behalf of a project rather than, wanting to be acknowledged by yourself. I think that would be the best way of doing it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
At the beginning of the application, you have to put down the name of one person. It doesn't give you the option to put down more than one. So will I just put down the name of one of us and then explain somewhere in the rest of the application?
Just make it clear. Yeah, exactly. That would be fine. And, if it's a factual thing like an email address or telephone number or anything that's at that front that's not sort of a qualitative part of the assessment, if you know what I mean, you could always ask me for clarification on that as well. Just drop an email or ring.
Great. Okay, thanks for that.
Okay. So we're doing quite well for time here. It's 11:15. Does anybody, what about Tony and Maura from Derry? Have you got anything you'd like to ask?
Well, firstly, thank you, and hello everybody on the call as well too. It's really great to hear, I say, all of the contributions so far. Look, as you know, we were involved in coordinating along with the Foyle Civic Trust the Walled City Townscape Heritage Initiative, and obviously, and you're aware that obviously that project had success at the Heritage Angels, which was certainly a great, a great endorsement for everybody involved, and particularly the Foyle Civic Trust. So, from our perspective, we are interested in, obviously being a joint entrant and joint, winner of the previous awards. I forget the date now, it might have been 2018, possibly, but correct me if I'm wrong. But no, we are keen to look at other projects which we as council, have been developing or in the process of developing, and looking to see whether or not they fit within the category. So I think today for us is just more of a learning exercise, and I suppose clarifications as well too. And hopefully by the end of this month that we do have a submission. But again, that'll fall down to both Maura and I now doing a little bit of analysis internally to see what we've got. But again, thanks for the opportunity to be on the call today.
Okay, thank you both. And it was a good call not to come in person and traverse the Glen Chain Pass this morning. Right, so how are we doing? Are there any other questions? See who's on the call this end. Anybody? Are you happy to finish it off there? Yeah. Okay. I mean, if you want to look on the website, we have updated. Excuse me. If you want to look on the Heritage Angel Awards website, I'm sure by now you will have your own ideas of what it is you're thinking of applying for. But particularly if you're a council. If you work for a council and you're thinking about maybe approaching somebody, a group within your council area, you could always point them in the direction of the website. We've updated all the shortlisted short clips, and that will give you plenty of ideas. So that's 18, isn't it, by 4 years? So there's a lot of like 2.5-minute films, just to give you an idea of the breadth of subjects. And indeed, if you're speaking to community groups or whoever, or craftspeople, they might want to have a look themselves, see if they'd like to apply or be nominated. Other than that, really, we are on hand to answer any questions. My working patterns are Monday to Thursday over the next few months, but you can always, I am picking up emails, and you can always ring or email. Email's probably the best, and I will get back to you, because obviously I'm aware of the deadlines, and we are available to help you if you've got any queries. Is there anything else at all before we say good morning? And no, yes,
Thanks.
Okay, well, thank you all, and thank you for bearing with us, and we look forward to hearing from you. Deadline is the 1st. Thank you very much for your insights, Kira and Peter and Sebastian, and we really look forward to hearing from you and receiving your application. Okay, all right, and thanks everybody then.
Okay, thank you.
you.
Bye.
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 See you.